Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me. Today we're making urban scrunchie headbands. I think these turned out really fun and they're super easy. I have a little secret. I cheated. I bought pre-made headbands from Walgreens, Amazon, the Dollar Tree, and that made this project really super simple. And I think they're really cute. You could make these for adults or children. Now I'm no model, but I didn't have my cute little Evie here to model for me, so I just wanted to show you what they look like in your hair. But I think they're really fun and they're super easy, and they just add a little bit of something to an ordinary plain headband. And as always, once I made one, I couldn't stop. I made a whole rainbow of urban scrunchie headbands. And the beauty of these is you can undo those ties and mix and match them and change them up so that they're constantly different. You could just have a couple of headbands and a bunch of different ties, and it will look like you have a whole wardrobe of headbands. So I think these are going to be really cute. So without further ado, let's jump into the tutorial. So this is what you're going to need. You're going to need your Urban Scrunchie mini template. Now I have a video on the Urban Scrunchie, and this is the miniature version. I have a PDF in the description below the video if you want to print it out and cut it with paper. This is a wooden version, and I also have an acrylic version available in my shop if you would like to purchase one of these. It makes it really simple and easy. I'm also using this rotating mat. I think this makes it a really quick and easy project, makes it super easy to cut, especially if you're using the solid template. And then I have a piece of fabric and the small rotary cutter. Now the small rotary cutters, this one's by Olfa. I'll have all of this linked in the description below the video, but it makes it a little bit easier to cut around the curves with the smaller one. Now the headband I got on Amazon, I picked this pack up from the Dollar Tree. This would work perfectly fine. I found these in Walgreens. They'll work fine. And again, I just bought a big pack from Amazon, and that's the one I used for all of the headbands that I showed at the beginning of the video. So you can pick up your headbands wherever you like. And also you want to check the description below the video for the original Urban Scrunchie, which is the round version. Now my fabric is measuring approximately 11.5 by 4.5. You can just use whatever scrap you have that the template will fit on. You're going to fold it in half, and then you're going to put the end that says cut on fold right on the fold of the fabric, and you're just going to cut around it. Now again, this is why the smaller rotary cutter is a little bit easier. It just takes the curves a little bit better than if you have a big one. And you can see why I like this rotating mat. This just makes it really easy. I'm not trying to move the template and keep everything lined up. I can just simply rotate the mat. So there is our template. So once you have your piece of fabric cut out, you're going to open it up, take it over to the ironing board, and you're going to fold it in half like so. And there's a slight divot right in the center, and that's just to help you line it up and to remind you where the center is. And you want to make sure that you fold those center points right in half, but you're going to fold it in half lengthwise and press it. And again, you can kind of line up that center. And then I'm going to mark a little mark about 1 inch of off center on either side. And that's going to be the area that I'm not going to sew. So I'm just going about 1 inch off the center, and there's nothing magical about this. Just you want to leave about a 2 inch, 1.5 inch opening, and you're not going to sew between those two marks. So I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine, and what we're going to do is sew from one mark all the way off to the end, and from the other mark off to the opposite end. And you want to make sure that you backstitch at the beginning and the end and don't sew in between the two marks. So from one end up to the mark and from the other end up to the mark. And I find it easiest to sew from the center marks out to the points. So from here and out, and from here and out, leaving that center open. So once you have that sewn and you've left that center area open, you just want to snip off those sharp corners right here. These scissors aren't very sharp, but you want to snip off those corners and just make sure that you are not snipping on your seam. Obviously you want to make sure and leave the seam all the way closed. I'm just going to use my rotary cutter here, and just snip off those corners. And if you left a big seam allowance around those corners, go ahead and trim that off or use your pinking shears, whatever works. And again, these scissors are terrible. So let me grab some different ones. All right, so we're just gonna trim off that excess seam allowance right there on those curves. Or you can just make snips. They're really small curves and it's not going to make a big difference, but I do think it makes it look a little bit more professional. So what I found it's easiest to do on these, because they are so small, is to kind of separate the fabric on the closed end and just take a pen or a pencil or whatever you have, and just kind of push the fabric up over it and out the center. So basically you're just turning this right side out through that hole, but that hole's pretty tight to try to reach through. So I find it easier to push it from the end through like this, and then repeat it for the other side. So again, you're just going to kind of separate that fabric, stick that pen or the chopstick or the bone folder, whatever you're using, kind of stick that through the fabric and push that seam out that center opening that we left. And I find that's the easiest way to turn these right side out. And then of course you're going to want to take your chopstick or whatever you're using and poke that inside that opening so that you can push those corners out nice and smooth. Make sure that you run the chopstick or whatever you're using along that curve and all the seams are pushed out all the way. So I'm just going to work with this just a little bit and make sure that everything is pushed out nicely. And once you've got it turned right side out, you might want to take a straight pin just right there on those sharp corners and kind of reach in on that seam and pull the corner out so that it's nice and sharp. It just gives it a nice finished look. And this mini scrunchie is really small, so it's hard to get that turned out all the way. So I'm just using a straight pin and just pulling that seam out a little bit. Now you want to take it over to the iron and press this nice and flat. Now make sure that where you left that opening, you've got the material turned inwards, and you're just going to press that flat. Once you've got that pressed flat, you'll just take it over to the sewing machine and stitch that opening closed. So I'm just going to stitch this real quickly right across that seam, and you're not really going to see this, so it doesn't really matter, but you want to make sure you snip off any threads because the threads will show. Now I'm going to take my headband. Now the ones I got from Amazon have a seam right down the center. Yours may or may not, but if it does, I would recommend tying the scrunchie part right over that seam. That's what I did. And you're just going to fold your scrunchie right around that fold, just one single knot, and pull it tight. And you might want to finagle it a little bit to get it to look the way you want, but that's it. That's all there is to this. So that's all there is to it. It's another way to use this urban scrunchie template. Now this is the original way, and if you want to see the video on how to make this style, I will link that in the description below the video. But this is, you get a 2-for-1. So you get the scrunchie template, you can make this style, or you could make this style. I think these would also be really cute to make regular sailor bows or just a big bow and hook them to these pre-made headbands just to add a little bit of pizzazz to a plain basic headband. And how fun are these going to be to wear for the summer or for back to school or at the gym or whatever you want to wear them for. Going to make great stocking stuffers again. We seem to be kind of stuck on these quick little projects, and I really enjoy making this style of a project. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to click that bell notification. That will give you an alert via email every time I put out a new video. That way you don't miss any of these super practical, super easy, and fun little projects. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, see you guys. Bye.